Hi guys, and welcome to Escape Wheel Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Sugess S420 GMT. So after constant questions and begging from you guys, I purchased this watch with my own money to get it on camera for you guys. But as always, no matter how a watch comes across my table, it's going to get a fair and honest review every single time. And if by the end of this review you do want to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving a link to the store I purchased it from. That is the Sugess official store. It is an affiliate link, so if you use that link, you don't pay any extra. It's just an easy way for you guys to help support me. So I really do appreciate the continued support. I wouldn't have this watch or this channel without you guys. So the price I'm seeing during this current fall sale is $273 all the way up to about $337 for this Pepsi bezel. So when I purchased the watch, I was able to stack some coupons. I got this one for around $255, which I thought was a pretty good deal. So if you guys are really good at scrounging for coupons and stuff like that, you can stack them and get a pretty decent deal on this watch. The watch comes in 4 different colorways that you can see on screen now. Keep in mind the different bezels, they do demand different prices, so just be aware of that going in. The watch case and bracelet are made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal with anti-reflective coating. It has a screw-down crown, a screw-down case back, 100 meters of claimed water resistance, and the watch is powered by the Seiko NH34 automatic movement. So I've reviewed a few of these GMT Master homages, and I always said the previous version of this one was the nicest one. It had a higher price due to the movement. It was a high beat movement. It was a little bit thinner than all the rest of them, and it was great. So when they re-released this one with the reliable NH34, I kind of knew it would end up on my desk at some point, and here we are. So I say we get into the full review, see if this is now the king of GMT Master homages. But before we do a quick wrist check of a watch that I just reviewed. Hopefully the review will be up here. This is the Engelmann Citadel, and it is absolutely awesome. Absolutely incredible. All right, so let's get into dimensions. A bezel diameter of 40.3 millimeters. Case thickness of 12.8 millimeters. Our standard 20 millimeter lug width. Lug tip to lug tip of 47.4 millimeters. Got a total length of 50.3 millimeters. And sized up for my 7.5-inch wrist with one link removed. It weighs 138 grams. So no real surprises here. It's kind of exactly what we expected. It wears exactly like I expected as well. 12.8 millimeters thick is pretty nice for an NH34 with a bezel. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this watch. Obviously it has a pretty flat case, so it does kind of just sit on top. It doesn't really hug the wrist nicely, but it's been very comfortable for me. The 5-link bracelet is excellent as well, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But yeah, just no surprises in the size of this watch. It's exactly what you would expect. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5-inch wrist, and there's really no surprises here. It wears exactly like you would expect it to. It wears very nice. The bracelet feels very comfortable. I like all the polishing on it. The ceramic bezel playing with the light nicely. I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not, but the bezel markings, they are indeed silver here, and you can kind of see that more in person. Very light silver, but it does look very, very good. Now, I don't think these watches look great on some straps, but I'm going to go try and put it on a couple straps for you guys. I like it though. It looks really, really good. And just in case you guys have a Fairsuit chronograph sitting around, that bracelet does go on pretty much perfectly. It's a little bit loose at the end links, but yeah, it'll give you an idea of what a polished middle oyster style bracelet will look like on this watch. I still think I prefer the Jubilee 5-link, but you know, this one actually doesn't look bad, and it actually fits really good. So, and next up, here we are on a cut to size FKM in white. This is just a smooth FKM, no clearance issues, and I think it actually looks pretty good. I've seen this combo before, so I kind of knew what to expect, and yeah, it does look good. What do you guys think? And in case you guys aren't feeling that last one, here we are on a textured black FKM cut to size. Obviously, it's going to look great on this watch. America. All jokes aside, not a huge fan of how these nylon straps wear on this case. It's a very flat case, and you can see it kind of lifting up the case there, so it's very comfortable. I think it looks kind of cool, but not my favorite. The crows agree, they are not fans. All right, let's go back inside. Let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing on the watch. So again, exactly what we expect. We have a vertical brushing on the tops of the lugs here, as you can see. Very nice, very consistent and even brushing. We have polishing on the sides here. The bottom edge, it's been rounded off pretty nicely. This is one of the nicer feeling oyster cases I've seen. So pretty happy with that. We've got some nice crown guards over here. We've got the Sugess signed crown there, just a simple S. Tucks in nicely into those polished crown guards. Everything here is done very nice. I've got no real complaints with it at all. The polishing is nice and smooth, as you can kind of see right there. So there's no waviness to it or anything like that. It looks good. The brushing, again, is nice and consistent. And there's really no sharp edges on this thing anywhere. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Simple case back here, screw down case back, got the Rolex style brushing and polishing, no spec sheet, no nothing, exactly, again, what I expected on a watch like this. So I'd like to see simple notches here, but I kind of knew this going in. This is what we're going to get. I'm not a fan of these, but I now have the tools for them, but you can always use a ball of duct tape or a sticky ball and get those off if you ever need to. So yeah, again, exactly what I expected, but executed to a high standard in my opinion. All right, so let's talk about the bezel on the watch. So the bezel is a pretty big deal on this watch, I guess. I'm not too into, Pepsi bezels. I've had them in the past. They look great. The ceramics look awesome. They're hard to create, and they're going to cost more money, and that's where that extra price is coming from. It's just all in this bezel. And these guys, they're doing it apparently the same way that Rolex does it. So if you shine a UV light on this watch, the blue should turn red. So we're going to try that here. We'll see if it even shows up on camera. So yeah, there you go. You can see it pretty clear. Oh, sorry about that. It does turn blue underneath there. So I'm not sure what that means for real world usage. To me, it just looks fine. And it's a very dark blue, as you can see here, almost too dark in my opinion. This is under, my studio light, so it shows up a little bit better, but during normal daytime, it's actually a very dark blue. I think it looks great. You can see here, it is a fully engraved bezel as well. It looks really good. These engravings are nice and deep, nice and crisp as well. And the nice thing, this is the first time I've seen this, the paint on the inside is not white, it is silver. So hopefully you guys can see that. If not, I have a bezel here with white markings. Sorry about the fuzz. So there you go. Definitely a silver. So that's something that I did notice, and I think it looks really good, and it's closer to the original. So yeah, the bezel on this watch, the bezel insert on this watch is excellent. I do have a slight, ever so slight misalignment. It's about like that in real life. So it's not something that really bothered me, and obviously your watch is going to be a little bit different, but yeah, just something I thought I would mention. The bezel itself, as you can see here, stainless steel, brushing around the bottom, got a polished top edge and then polished scallops there. The grip on it is perfect. I think the resistance is very nice. It's a 24-click bi-directional bezel, and it's one of the better ones I've had. There's a slight bit of rock, but I've had that on all of them. But I mean, it just clicks right into place. Very nice feeling. And it's even all the way around. So I've got no real complaints about it at all. Yeah, it's actually a very good bezel action, and I think the look of the bezel is fantastic. And yeah, I mean, they got it right. They just did a really good job on it. All right, so let's talk about the crystal. We'll test it for sapphire. It's positive for sapphire. The Cyclops is sapphire as well. So we've got a flat sapphire crystal with a sapphire Cyclops. You can see there's a little blue AR coating on the underside of the Cyclops there. Clear and reflective coating for the main crystal. You can see it sits up above the bezel there with a little bit of a chamfer. It's a nice crystal. I've got no real issues with it. Flat crystal doesn't need AR coating, and they do have some on here. It's not the best AR coating, but far, far, far from the worst. So yeah, I am actually pretty happy with the crystal on this watch. I think it fits it perfectly. The Cyclops alignment is perfect, and it's a little bit more than I want in the magnification. You can see there, I would say it's probably like 3x, and just a little bit too much in my opinion. But that's because we have a little bit more distance between the rehaut and the dial on this watch, which we'll talk about here in the dial section. All right, so let's talk about the dial on the watch. So the dial is a deep, inky, glossy black dial, as you can see there. It looks fantastic. They did a good job on it. They have a printed minute track around the outside, which is centered in the dial opening nicely. We have applied indices at all the hour markers. I think the quality of this dial is a little bit like a step down from the current generation of Sugess subs as I have right here. So this is one brand new. You can see how the indices are kind of flat on the top. I'm looking at like the 10 o'clock one there. See how it's kind of a flat reflection there? With this one, it's just got a little bit more of a rounded reflection. I'm not really sure what's going on. The Lume also doesn't match that, which we'll share here in just a little bit. The rehaut depth, I'll show you guys the rehaut depth. You can see here, it's not too bad on the NH34, but definitely hard to beat the NH35 rehaut. I mean, they just did a very nice job on this case here. And I mean, they probably did all that they could on the NH34. It's just the nature of this movement having the higher hand stack. So it's actually pretty good. You can obviously see that it is Sugess branded around the outside as well. We have the Sugess branding on the dial there, Ocean Star, GMT, Divers 200 meter, and then automatic. I'm not really sure why they had to put divers there. This isn't really a diver's watch. But yeah, and they also list that as 200 meters on the dial, but 100 meters in the spec sheet. So I'm not sure which one it is. I'm sure it's fine for anything that any of us are going to do with this watch. You have a typical handset on this watch. Looks pretty good. I don't see any fluff under the dial or anything like that either. So the QC on this watch is pretty good. Red GMT hand, again, nicely sized. Everything looks very nice, very proportionate. But yeah, I feel like the dial is just a little bit of a step down from the most recent dial that Sugess is putting out, which you'll see here in just a little bit. And I mainly saw that in the Lume. So I'm going to pop up a Lume shot here. You can see it against a couple other watches in the collection, and it does okay. It's not the best Lume. It's far from the worst Lume. I'd put it as a solid, 7 out of 10. Yeah, but the Sugess Seaman on the right just kind of destroys this, and that's where I think they've upped the game a little bit in the recent future. So I'm a little disappointed that they didn't put that dial into this watch. I think they could have, and it would have been awesome. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a letdown. Other than that, really can't complain too much about the dial on this watch. It's executed very nicely. All right, so let's talk about the movement inside. So the movement now is the Seiko NH34. Previously, it was the Hangzhou 6460, which is an ETA clone GMT movement, so a higher beat rate and a little bit thinner. It was a nice movement, but this one here, it's accurate. It's going to be reliable. They're cheap. They're easy to get a hold of. Find parts for anything you need to. So I really don't have any major complaint about the switch to the NH34. It's a more readily available movement and more reliable. It does have just 21,600 beats per hour, so 6 ticks of the second hand, but it hand winds, bidirectional winding rotor, independent GMT hand, which we'll show you here right now. It is all operated by this 3 o'clock screw down crown. Before I get into that, here's how this one has been running. Can't complain about that at all. Very solid NH34. So back to the movement. 3 o'clock signed screw down crown. First position is your hand winding. Feels great. Second position is your GMT and your date. So you roll it forward. This jumps your GMT hand. Little clicks for every 12 or every hour. You roll it backwards, and this changes your date. So yeah, exactly what I expected. Pull it out to the next position, hacks the movement. This is where you set your time. The hand alignment is spot on this watch, so very happy with that. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to complain about. You push it in, it starts up the movement every single time, and then you start threading. I did have a little bit of an issue with the crown not wanting to thread, but once it catches, it is nice and smooth. So other than that little issue with the crown not wanting to thread every time, really no complaints with the movement on this one. Yeah, I think the trade-off is probably worth it for a little bit thicker of a rehaut, but you're getting a much more reliable and readily available movement. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet. So the bracelet is our typical 5-link bracelet, 20 millimeters, tapering down to 16 millimeters at the clasp. We have solid links, we have solid end links, we have screw pins for adjusting, and we have a flip over clasp here, which we'll get to in just a second. But fluidity wise, this bracelet has been very nice. There is one link, I believe it's this one here. Yep, this one here kind of hangs up on itself every once in a while. It doesn't really translate on wrist. It's just something I noticed. All the other links are perfectly fluid. This bottom edge has nicely been rounded. And you know, the tolerances are good. It's supposed to be a little bit jangly and a little bit light feeling, and that's exactly what it feels like. It doesn't feel like a very solid, you know, San Martin 5-link, but it still feels like a quality bracelet. It reminds me a lot of the Cronos one I had a few years ago. So yeah, it's a nice bracelet, and I think it looks great. The finishing on it is excellent. Brushing on the outer links, polishing on the inner links, and that flows into this clasp here. We have brushing on the outside, polished on the inner. We have the signed S logo here on the clasp. You flip that up, and then you lift up right here, and that opens it up. So no double button pushers or anything like that. We're signed on the inside, fully polished. This is all milled. Obviously, the nice tight tolerances. This thing opens and closes exactly like you would expect it to. And then we do have micro adjust on the inside here, and we have a quick release little extension there. So yeah, we're kind of getting all the features we want and kind of expect on this watch. So yeah, very nice there. It's not an on the fly adjustment, just a little bit of a quick adjust, but that's plenty for, I would say, everybody. So yeah, I do like this watch. I like the bracelet. It feels really good. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of exactly what I expected it to be. So there you go, guys. That is the Sugess S420 GMT, new release from them with the NH34, with the 5-link bracelet. I think it's great. I've got really nothing to complain about. It's been an unsurprising watch, I'll say that. The only thing that really kind of stood out for me as being exceptional and better than other ones is the bezel. The bezel action and the bezel itself being silver filled instead of white filled was a nice surprise. And then, you know, the UV stuff, if you're into that, it doesn't really mean anything to me, but it's kind of cool, I guess, but just a party trick. But I think other than the bezel, this thing doesn't really stand out anywhere. It doesn't disappoint in anywhere either. It's very nice. I keep on saying that. It's a very, very nice watch. I just don't know if it's worth the extra money to get this over the Cronos. The Cronos I thought was an excellent watch. This one is just as nice as that one is. I think the bezel is a little bit nicer just because of the silver paint, but other than that, yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. You're gonna have to compare the prices and compare the colorways, because I know Cronos does some weird things with the bezels and the GMT hand. But yeah, this one, they kind of get all the colorways right. And I do think it looks very nice. It's very well executed. There's nothing disappointing about this watch. I think it's just priced a little bit higher than the Cronos is, and it's not really giving me anything extra to want to suggest this over the Cronos. I do think they're both very good watches, and they're probably the best ones you're going to find for this price. So yeah, I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.